Welcome back. It is 9:16 on your Tuesday. You may notice you or your loved ones feel a mood change with the seasons. Maybe you feel more off or sad in the fall or winter.
Maybe you get more energized, though, also when the sun is out for longer stretches. It really can affect our mood and behavior. So today we want to dive into how the weather and daylight can affect our overall well-being and what we can do about it. So let's say good morning now to Dr. Ruth Benka joining us live. She is a psychiatrist at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist and professor of psychiatry and behavioral medicine at Wake Forest University School of Medicine. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me today.
Can we just first start with an overall definition? What is seasonal affective disorder?
Well, as you mentioned, many of us will notice some changes in our mood or our energy or other aspects of our behavior in the fall. But when we talk about seasonal affective disorder, we're usually referring to episodes of major depression that occur exclusively in the fall and the winter as the days lengthen. And they include typical symptoms of depression that we're probably familiar with, things like depressed mood, feeling hopeless, worthless, even having suicidal thoughts. Losing interest in activities that we usually find enjoyable. But with winter depression or seasonal affective disorder, there are often what we call atypical features, which is people feel like they need to sleep more, their appetite increases, they crave carbohydrates, they may gain weight. And these disorders tend to be more prevalent as we have more extreme latitudes. But we're still far north enough here, even in North Carolina, that there are significant enough changes in our daylight levels to trigger these disorders. The effects tend to peak, and we notice it most acutely when the light levels are changing most rapidly, and that's usually in the fall for the depression, and then sometimes a reversal of that in the spring when the days lengthen.
Well, Dr. Benka, if someone identifies with these signs that you're talking about, how is seasonal depression then treated? What is out there to help?
Well, one of the things that seems to be most effective for many people is more light exposure. And that can include just getting outdoors when we have a decent amount of light, particularly morning light seems to be important. And the other approach is to actually use a therapeutic light box. These are devices that are designed to provide ultraviolet free light. Full spectrum bright light seems to be the best. Sometimes antidepressant medications need to be added with more severe depression. And then other things like keeping active, having a regular sleep schedule, trying not to sleep too much. All of those types of things can be helpful.
And when we're talking about this seasonal effect, I mean, this happens in the summer months as well. What would you say are the psychiatric disorders that you see increase during winter versus summer?
Okay, so as I mentioned, in the fall and winter, we tend to see more episodes of depression. And in the spring, we have sometimes the opposite effect. We see more mania, people feeling super energized, and even psychosis, people having problems with thoughts and other, basically a disorder of their thinking, hallucinations, strange experiences. The other thing that I think is important to keep in mind is the spring is also a time where we see peak incidence of suicidal thoughts, suicidal behaviors, and actually completed suicides. There's a lesser peak in the fall as well. So we have the depression in the fall, we have the sort of the mania, the psychosis, perhaps just the resolution of the depression in the spring. And then I think, we're also facing basically an epidemic of suicide right now, to remember that also has a seasonal component.
Well, Dr. Benka, I think it's important then for when people should notify their doctor or a psychiatrist. I mean, when does someone need to seek help regarding this?
Well, absolutely. You should seek help if you're finding that changes in your mood are making it hard for you to keep up with work, with your interpersonal relations. Certainly, if you're feeling hopeless, worthless, having thoughts of death or suicide, that's really a red flag to try to get some immediate help. Call your doctor. Even if it's an urgent situation to go to the emergency room so you get the help you need. And I think for people who know that they tend to go through these seasonal changes, even people who maybe don't have like a full-blown depression, that a good chunk of the population is pretty seasonal, and seasonal behavior is really throughout the animal kingdom. It's really probably not a whole lot different than animals that hibernate in the winter.
Right.
We sometimes call ourselves that we're hibernating when we're, sort of feeling a little bit more sluggish. So again, more light exposure, more physical activity, watching your diet. Those are all things that can be helpful, even if you don't get to the point where you're really feeling depressed.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Benka, for your time this morning and expertise. And folks, if you want to rewatch this interview to refer back to it, we're going to have that posted on our website, tryitcw.com, right after this show.